A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
This year marks the 50th year of Baptist World Aid that support at-risk children overseas. And the CEO of Baptist World Aid is joining us today, Melissa Lipset, to discuss the changing landscape when it comes to child sponsorship. Melissa, welcome.
Hello, Andrew. Great to talk to you.
Great to have you with us. Many parents listening today, Melissa, will share concerns about their own children and their safety in the digital world. And you've had some interesting findings from a recent consultation about children and youth in your programs. Can you tell us about these findings?
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. It is a very important conversation in Australia, and that made us realise that it's a very important conversation right around the world, particularly for the children and young people that we work with in very vulnerable communities around the globe. Now, we've been elevating child rights for 50 years, and we're entirely committed to their dignity and safety. We always want to ensure that they're at the centre of their own story. So we've been on a listening and learning journey across this last 18 months because we wanted to talk to them about online safety and the proposed changes that we wanted to make to our promotional practice to honour their dignity and safety and well-being. And children and young people actually responded to us very, very clearly. And they said that the changes that we wanted to make would help protect them from abuse. It would create more equal opportunities for them, that it would keep them safe and protect their families and communities. And of course, this is absolutely what we want to do in this programming work. So it's become a really important element for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So just for our listeners, Melissa, let's talk in really practical terms. Obviously, in the old days when we sponsored kids, and there's a lot of really good organisations that do this, sponsoring overseas children. My kids and I were involved in one of these a few years ago. You get a photo, don't you? You get some information about them. Those photos often appear in public places. Now, that was the old way of doing it. Talk to us about the issues with that and how we're going to do things differently moving forward.
Yes, well, providing the physical images of children is problematic, and we know that because of the conversation that we're having here in Australia. There's not a week that goes past without the realisation that a child or young person's image has been used inappropriately, and that problem is only getting worse. So the change we're making is that Baptist World Aid will no longer display the faces of children who are waiting for sponsorship online or indeed on the printed materials that are available at public events. We're going to be covering their faces with a very friendly sticker and providing education to sponsors that this is to protect the identity of the child until a person signs up to become a sponsor. Now, interestingly, that personal connection that a child or young person is able to make with their sponsor is still very important for some children and families, and it's certainly important for some of our sponsors. So we will be continuing to facilitate that, but only after a person has committed to sponsorship. So it's a small change, but it's a significant change. It actually follows off the back of us working within our programs themselves to enhance digital safety for children and young people. We've been educating them about their own online safety for some time now. And so this change in the way we're promoting child sponsorship actually follows a change within the programming itself.
Yeah, it sounds it sounds logical, but it's also something that may never have happened without this consultation. So, congratulations to the people involved in this consultation, because it is significant, isn't it? And when you think about the child abuse scandals within churches in Australia, yeah, we really need to protect the children overseas too, don't we? That we're trying to help through these. Well, a sponsorship's a relationship, isn't it?
Well, that's right. I mean, I'm sure that every organisation, that every person who signs up to sponsorship cares deeply about the well-being of children and young people. Otherwise, they wouldn't sign up in the first place. But I do think the world has changed and we need to change with it. So we've been iterating the way that we work with children and young people for that entire 50 years. Actually, recently, we were independently assessed as being one of Australia's best examples of catalysing genuine empowerment, agency and advocacy capacity within those programs that we have with children and young people. They are very, very locally led. And so it's really important. It's an important part of the way we've worked across that 50 years is to listen to what local community has to say to us. We never presume. It's really important to place children and young people at the centre of that, and to also to very much to listen to them. You know, these children and young people, they're resilient and they're creative and they're clever and they're smart. You know, of course they are. They're made in the image of God. And so why wouldn't we listen to them and be led by them in terms of what is best for them?
Yeah, absolutely. And did anything from this consultation that led to this change surprise you in their findings?
Well, I guess what surprised us initially was that children and young people were so articulate about how this sort of change would honour their dignity and safety. They were very clear in their responses. They said things like, it will help protect children from abuse. It will result in more equal opportunities for children. It will help keep us and our families and communities safe. One child said, in Clearview, we are very much exposed to threats at present. Another child said, even children with visible disabilities will be treated equally. That really, pierced my heart, the thought that here in Australia, we have the opportunity to choose children based on what they look like. I know we're well-intentioned, but it doesn't sit well. And so hearing, young people themselves articulate that back to us, we knew that we had to make this shift, Andrew.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. And credit to you for doing this, Melissa, and pivoting Baptist World Aid to really move with the times, because the world, whether we like it or not, has changed so much, hasn't it, since 50 years ago when you guys began?
Yeah, it absolutely has, and I think that we all have a heart to do the very best that we can. It's not just Baptist World Aid Australia, but every agency. So we're really thrilled to have an opportunity to lead positive change and to lead a really important conversation in the sector.
Yeah, and are you hoping that others within the sector will follow your lead and make similar changes, or is that already happening organically?
Well, we would love to have the conversation in the sector. I think this is just this small change that we're making. It won't be the last one. I believe it'll be the start of a lot of new work around what best programming responses look like, and I very much believe that the sector will join us in that.
Yeah, that's great. And now, for those listeners who aren't familiar with Baptist World Aid, besides facilitating and coordinating child sponsorship, what other type of work does Baptist World Aid do?
Yeah, we engage in local communities right around the world, those that are most vulnerable, those that are most marginalised across Asia, the Pacific, Africa and the Middle East. And our vision is to see fullness of life for every person. So we work in about 18 to 20 countries at any one time. We work through local Christian partners. So in all of our programming, we never presume to know what is best for a local community. We come alongside through our local Christian partners and look for ways that we can genuinely empower and give agency and advocacy capacity to local communities themselves.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like it's very effective, and it's also very humble, because it is a form of humility, isn't it, when we travel overseas, and rather than presume to know and start lecturing and telling, that we listen and we learn and we work with locals. It's a principle that works, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I'm heading off to Africa next week, and I can't wait to sit with people in local communities and hear from them how we can best support them. They know best. They have so much to teach us, Andrew, and it really is an incredible privilege. I know how privileged I am to have the opportunity to do that, but we want to bring that education back here to our very generous supporters in Australia. We want to take them on that listening and learning journey too.
Excellent. Well, if people are interested in joining you in changing people's lives overseas, how do they reach out to Baptist World Aid?
Yeah, please visit baptistworldaid.org.au to learn more. And we would love everybody to work together with us to see this new era of child sponsorship.
Excellent, Melissa. Well, we wish you all the best. Safe travels to Africa. Which nations in Africa will you be visiting?
I'll be principally in Uganda across the next couple of weeks, Andrew.
Beautiful, beautiful spot. And you enjoy that there. And thanks for joining us, and looking forward to our next conversation. But just to remind our listeners, it's baptistworldaid.org.au. Melissa Lipset, the CEO of Baptist World Aid, thanks for joining us on 2020 Today.
Thank you, Andrew. Great pleasure to chat to you.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.